Te parezco como se? All right. All right, guys. You guys doing all right this evening? Yeah. Okay, enjoy the hors d'oeuvres? Yeah. Okay. We're actually going to be cooking a couple of things, two or three things tonight. It's going to be some crispy salmon, skin-on salmon, okay? So anytime we have skin-on salmon, it has to be nice and crispy, okay? We're going to achieve that tonight, and I'll show you guys how. We have some braised Brussels sprouts, and they're braised with pancetta, which is basically Italian bacon, some fresh thyme, some garlic, little chicken stock, okay? Real simple method, but something that you do at your house, and it just makes you look really, really good, okay? And then we have a nice simple sauce that you could do at your house. All these ingredients you can get anywhere in Villa Rica. Nice and simple, easy to do, and taste really, really good. Big, bold flavors, okay? So we're going to get started. All right, so we're going to start with the Brussels sprouts because those are going to be the most time consuming. And basically we want to get the pan hot. We don't need to put any fat in there because we're going to render the pancetta. And y'all remember what rendering means? We're going to pull all the liquid fat from the solid fat, okay? And then we're going to use that to cook with, okay? Better terms, we're going to get that bacon fat and cook our eggs in it. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody does it. There's just fancy terms for it too, and I'm going to teach you guys those. So render means to pull the fat from the meat, okay? Whether it's bacon, it could be the skin of a duck, or pancetta in this case, all right? So we're going to let this heat up a little bit, and we're going to do that. After we render that fat, we're going to saute some onions. Okay. We're going to smoke this place out tonight, guys. In fact, I got this pancetta at Publix, so it's $12.49 a pound, so I know it's there. All right, so we got the pancetta in the pan, no fat needed, enough fat's in that, it's going to pull it out, and we'll be able to use that to cook with. All right, so let's just let that sit. The next thing we want to put in there is some julienne onions, okay? So I have my yellow onions here, and we want to julienne them, which basically means sliced in French. Not really, but that's what you do. All right, so, and we want to put a good bit of onions in there because by the time it's cooked, you know, this many onions are going to go to this, and that's going to add some sweetness to the dish. So we don't have to worry about as many onions. If you can't cut like that, then just don't try because it won't taste as good, okay? My wife Tammy taught me how to cut like that, actually. All right, so we're going to continue rendering that bacon. As we're rendering, I'm going to show you what I did with the salmon, okay? The reason why we score a salmon or we score duck or anything with skin, basically, is if you don't, when you cook it, this side it's going to go like this. The skin will shrink and it'll suck it up like that, okay? So that's why we score it. And all you do, I already did it, but just to show you, you pinch it like this to make it bow out, and then you just score it about 1.5 inches, half inch down. And then what we do with those scores, just to get a little fancy, we're going to take some fresh thyme, just rough chop it. I'm scared this table's going to fall. All right, we take that salmon. We're going to open up the scores. And we're going to put some fresh thyme in there. It could be rosemary, it could be some chiffonade basil, it could be some roasted garlic. It could be a lot of different things. We're also going to take some kosher salt. Remember, guys, when we season the outside of a steak or a piece of fish, nice thick piece of fish, we have to account for the inside, okay? So don't be scared with the salt and the pepper, all right? You want to do a nice crust. Also, when you sear it, some of the natural saltiness of the salt will kind of go away. All right, we flip that over. A little salt, pepper. All right, we're gonna let that sit. I think our pancetta is ready to go. All right, it's starting to get a little crispy. And you see all that fat in there. Remember, I didn't put any oil or anything. That's just from the rendering the pancetta. All right. Seems like a lot of onions right now, right? That'll actually become part of the dish when they caramelize down. Like, this is one of my favorite parts of cooking, is caramelizing onions, especially when there's pancetta or bacon fat involved. All right. Any questions so far, guys? Yes, ma'am. Lardons is basically bacon cut into pieces, or any kind of fat that's cut into little square pieces. It's called lardons. When you lard something, you put fat, you stuff it with fat. When you board something, you wrap it with fat. So let's say we do a chicken breast, we wrap it with fat. That's called boarding a chicken breast. And larding is when you put it on the inside. So a lardon is basically a fancy name for a tiny piece of bacon, or a tiny piece of salt pork, or anything that's really high in fat. Yes, ma'am.
When you put the onions in, does the pancetta stay crisp?
It will, yes. I mean, by the end of this recipe, we'll lose some of that because we're going to use chicken stock, and also the natural waters in the Brussels sprouts will kind of make a sauce. That's kind of what we want. No, but what you can do is if you take pancetta, you lay it out on a sheet pan, put it in the oven, it'll crisp up so quickly, and you can crumble that on top of the dish if you like. In fact, we did that with one of the hors d'oeuvres, the brie and phyllo, with the fig and some pancetta. We just took the same pancetta as it comes, put it in the oven, just single layer, and then it crisps up really, really quickly and dries out, and we just crumble that on top of the fig. All right, so we're going to forget about this for a second. And let's move on to the sauce. All right, sauce is real simple. We add everything except for the butter. We reduce down and we finish with the butter. So it'll make a natural glaze because of the sugar in the orange juice. The actual brown sugar will naturally thicken it up. All right, a whole bunch of cilantro or coriander, whichever you like to call it. Brown sugar. To show you how versatile this could be, I went ahead and added a tablespoon of fresh ginger, okay? So y'all can mark that down on there. I just took a grater and freshly did it. It's 1 tablespoon. Some minced garlic. And what, about a tablespoon of lime?
Is there a reason why you pre-melted the butter versus
You don't want to pre-melt the butter.
Oh.
The butter's right here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, the butter should be refrigerated because you want the butter to be really, really cold because we're going to melt the butter.
Where did you get the limes and juice?
What's that?
Limes and juice.
Where'd I get them? Oh, you can't? Well, there's a big thing with limes right now. Actually, they're really expensive. They're $1 a piece, even for me. And so maybe that's part of it. They're hard to come by. They're really expensive. There's some kind of thing in Mexico, and also the cold winter really, really hurt the produce. All right, so the sauce, we're just going to kind of forget about it and let it reduce down.
Why unsalt the butter than salt the butter?
Because when I want to season things, I want to use salt, not the salt in my butter. Unsalted butter is really not good for much of anything. I mean, unless you're just putting it on top of a biscuit or something. And also, when you saute something with butter, it has a lower smoke point, meaning that it's going to start smoking at a lower temperature than unsalted butter because the salt burns. So we don't have any salted butter in the restaurant. We use only unsalted butter. All right, guys, so you see that brownness in the onions coming from the pancetta? I call that, you see at the bottom of the pan? That gris-gris, that's what we call it, the gris-gris. So we're going to use that gris-gris to finish our the flavor for the Brussels sprouts, which I think we're about there. In fact, let's go a little bit longer. You want it to be brown. You want it to be nice and brown. You see? Yes. In fact, the caramelized onions that we use in the restaurant, we caramelize a whole bunch at a time because we'll use it in a lot of dishes because it just adds a tremendous amount of flavor to stuff. We always have roasted garlic. We always have caramelized onions. We always have veal, chicken, shrimp stock, and vegetable stock. We always have that at all times, just to flavor things and use to cook with. But you want them to really, really cook down, get really soft, and basically caramelize means bring the natural sugars out. All right, Brussels sprouts on. All right, I'm smelling the bottom of the pan. It's really sticking to it and getting a little dark. But guys, that's beautiful. That's a good thing. I'm about to pull it all up with this chicken stock. It wouldn't hurt to deglaze this pan with a little bit of white wine too. It'd add a little bit of zing to the dish. Garlic.
Why chicken stock instead of any other stock?
Well, chicken stock, it's more salty. So I'm using it to actually go inside the Brussels and flavor them, internally. And the way I'll do that is I'll put a little bit of chicken stock in and let it cook down, almost to nothing dry. Put a little bit of chicken stock in and let it cook down, so they're just continually soaking up that. And if it was shrimp stock or something like that, it'd be a little bit more sweet. I mean, you could use veal stock. It's a little bit expensive for my taste, but to use for Brussels sprouts. But chicken stock is just more natural. All right, we'll throw the thyme in there. You can just throw it in whole and we'll pick it out at the end, okay? All right. Sorry.
How do you know how many leaves to pull off and if we're going to stem off?
Are you talking about for this dish?
Well, any dish.
Oh, well, I just pull. All you have to do is chop just a slight bottom off, and that's it.
You don't take any leaves off.
I mean, if you need to, yeah. These were really, really nice. So, I mean, I really didn't have to take any leaves off. Some of them, they would have a spot. I would take it off. And also, the ones that were really big, I cut in half. And the ones that were medium to small, left as they were.
So you don't soak in salt or
No. No. I just give them a whole bunch of love called pancetta, garlic, and onions.
yellow leaves.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you see that, you can take it off, definitely. All right, so see, some of them are small, some of them are big. The big ones I cut in half, just so they cook with the small ones, cook at the same time. All right, so I put almost all my chicken stock because I was talking, but it'll still do the same effect. All right, so we'll let that cook out. We want it to be pretty much au sec. You know when you get a roast beef pulled boy au jus, it's the natural flavors, the juices of the roasted beef. Well, au jus is when there's a certain amount left in the pan from roasting it. Au sec is when there's minimal, there's just a touch. And that means that minimal that's left is so flavorful because there was this much liquid with this much flavor. Now there's this much liquid with that same amount of flavor, you understand? So we're reducing that and building that flavor. Well, au jus is the same thing. It's just a little bit not as potent as the au sec. Au sec is just really minute in how much it is, but really bold in flavor. All right, hopefully one of these will be done so we can move on to the salmon. Smells good. All right, guys, so this dish is one of my favorite, well, just what it is, the type it is, the essence of it. You have a nice light piece of fish. We make it nice and rich, leaving the skin on, getting it really crispy. The sauce really, really light, but also bold in flavor. We got a lot of bold ingredients in there. And the same thing with the Brussels sprouts. We don't have any starch in this. There's no potatoes, no nothing. But this will be such a filling dish. And talk about a superfood. Brussels sprouts is one of the biggest superfoods there are. So a good summertime dish. I like rich, I like bold, but you're not killing yourself with calories and killing yourself with starches. So I know that's usually not my motto. It just is today. Okay? I got some fat in here. Trust me. All right. Made that smell good, yeah. All right. Let's go a little bit longer. Sorry, I gotta taste it. And we're going to adjust the seasonings on the Brussels sprouts at the end. The end being basically when all this liquid in here is pretty much cooked mostly out. For this amount of Brussels sprouts, this technique would be better with more of a rondo, a pot with a bigger surface area to cook.
Speaking of that, at home, what do you do with, what kind of cookware?
My wife cooks at home. I don't cook at home.
Oh, whatever.
I'm serious. At the restaurant, I have everything cut, everything caramelized, everything. I have a dishwasher to clean the dishes. I'm serious. When I cook at home, I use every single pot and pan in the kitchen. And
So you don't have a favorite?
what's that?
You don't have a favorite?
Not really. I mean, growing up in Louisiana, the favorite is Magnolites. I don't know if that's big here or if y'all know what that is. It's just like a pretty thick stainless steel. Not even stainless steel. It's more of just a steel. I don't know, but that's pretty big in Louisiana. But you know, I mean, if I could have all copper, all clads, yeah, I'd be pretty happy with that. All right. Let me taste it. All right, that's about there. So basically, we're going to mount the butter.
What's that mean, mount?
Mount is just a technical term to put cold butter in a hot liquid to emulsify it and enrich in the sauce, thicken it, and make it just more rich to the mouth. M-O-U-N-T, mount.
Is that important?
What, cold to hot? Oh, definitely, yeah. You know, our lemon butter sauce at the restaurant that we put on the, you know, a lot of the dishes is a beurre blanc. And we make it pre-shift and it lasts throughout the night. If you were to put melted butter in it, well, if you put melted butter in it, it would never emulsify. The melted butter would just rise to the top because we're mixing cream and white wine and some different ingredients, reducing it down, and we whisk about 2 pounds of butter. I mean, to 2 quarts. It makes a big old batch, but there's a lot of fat too, though. But yeah, if you would try to do that with melted butter, it would just, as soon as you'd whisk it, rise to the top. It's actually a chemical reaction, hot to cold, and emulsifies. Same thing with oil, you know, oil and water. You know what I mean? You really can't do it, but you can with cream and butter if you do it right. All right, so when you go to the salmon, but if you do want to emulsify your oil and egg, a little bit of egg yolk, and the natural lecithin in that will do that. That'll be another day and time, right? All right, so we want to get the pan nice and hot as usual. Want to seal in that flavor. This is actually farm raised. I say farm raised, pretty much farm raised Atlantic salmon. You know, people come in. Same thing with the gluten thing. I read on the internet, I think it was yesterday, that they're proving that the gluten thing is actually not harmful to you. The celiac, whatever it is, they actually, yeah, celiac. Well, there's some scientists saying now that it may not be true. So I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying eating a whole bunch of gluten is good for you. I'm just saying what I read, okay? Well, the same thing with wild salmon. People come in all the time, is your salmon wild? You know, they must have seen it on TV or something. Well, for the record, I can't stand wild salmon. You know what wild salmon does all day? It swims. The same thing as wild duck, okay? Which means there's no fat on that fish, you know, compared to what we get, you know. I'll get wild salmon for special sometimes because it's wild salmon, you know. But farm-raised salmon, you know, it's almost as bad as a fattened duck, you know, foie gras, which used to be really bad. You know what they used to do? They would actually nail the ducks, what do you call them, feet? Are they feet? Feet? To the ground and force feed it. And they don't do it like that anymore. They just keep it in a pen. But I'm comparing it. It's kind of a weird comparison. But Atlantic salmon don't use their muscles as much as wild salmon. So their fish is so much more fatty. All that omega-3 acids, omega-3 fats, there's so much more in it. So that's my take. All right. Any questions? Did I ruffle some feathers? Better give me a big bowl and and a spoon. All right, so you see that oil starting to smoke over there? That's what we're looking for. We want that oil just to get the smoke point to put that salmon in. We want to get nice and crispy. When you put it in, you have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it, but what you want to do, you want to put it down and put it down away from you, okay? Don't just drop that in there. You will burn yourself. You want to put a little bit of pressure down in the middle so the whole skin side stays on that skillet and gets really, really crispy, okay? We're going to keep it skin side down, especially for a fillet like this, for about 3 or 4 minutes. We want to get it nice and crispy. We want to see that the bottom of the salmon meat to start turning color to about 1/3 of the way, and then we'll flip it. A plate bowl, a serving bowl.
Gabe, do you buy your salmon whole?
We do, yeah. We try to buy most of our fish whole. You know, for one thing, inflation, so it's a lot cheaper that way if you know what you're doing. But also, it comes a lot fresh, a lot more fresh. You know you're getting a fresh product that's whole. What's that? Actually, Inland and Cisco is what I use out here. Halpers doesn't come out here too much. They are a very good company, though. Those Brussels sprouts are a whole bunch of goodness, I'll tell you what.
Now,
See what those onions have done now? Just really broken down.
when you cook salmon, is it like tuna? Can you have it like?
Yes. The only way I eat salmon if it's almost raw. I mean, you know,
Wait, take it.
raw salmon is one of my favorite things to eat, but cooked salmon I really don't like, you know what I mean? But, so yeah, I mean, we try to serve it medium, a little bit over medium here.
So when someone asks you how you want your salmon, you're saying a medium?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I would say medium rare, but you know, it just depends on how you. If you like sushi, yeah. If you like, yeah, then definitely. I mean, raw salmon is one of my favorite things because of that, the natural fats it has raw. Just so much more succulent to me than when they're cooked. I told you we're gonna smoke this place out. But yeah, actually, besides chicken, there's really nothing else in the kitchen that you can't eat that's not done. In fact, the FDA just came out and said pork, yeah. And you know, really, any kind of pork tenderloin or center cut pork chop, we've already done that. But now they're saying any pork. It doesn't have to be 145 anymore. It can be less than well done. What's that?
It's not like they used to have to worry about
Yeah.
the way they say.
Yeah. And I kind of look at it as a good and bad thing. There's so many preservatives in our food nowadays that you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore, which is not really that good. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this. All right, you see that nice crispiness? So a fillet this big, I would pretend like let's pretend like it's gonna go in the oven, and I would finish it there to about medium rare, medium. I just don't want to smoke up the restaurant and burn everybody's eyes, but. So yeah, nice and really crispy. The ones you guys will eat will be crispy, but they won't be as crispy because we did them before. And so they'll still have some crisp to it, but it's nice to do it fresh right out the pan because it stays really, really crispy. It's kind of hard to do that with these though. All right.
You cook salmon on the grill?
Do I or can you?
Salmon on the grill?
Yes, it's actually one of the very good fishes for the grill because of the fat. Most fish that have a lot of fat content, which are the bigger fish like the mahis, the cobias, salmon especially, because of that good fat it has, it helps it not to stick on the grill. But then when you think about catfish and trout and things that like that are thin and not really thick and don't have that much fat to them, it makes it tougher. They'll stick. All right, guys, you ready to plate up? So after I get it on this side, I flip it over to the skin side until I'm ready to plate it. That way that crispiness will stay and even get a little bit better. And the pan's off, I'm just letting it stay there and get warm.
Now, when you put it in the oven, what side do you put it in?
I would do skin side. That's what we do for our ducks. You know, our duck breast, or any duck breast, it's really, really important to render that skin, because when you get it, it'll probably be about that thick. When you get it at the table, you want it to be pretty much right over the meat and really, really crispy. Duck can be one of the best things, but also if it's not prepared right, it can kind of be off-putting because of the chewiness of the fat. But our duck is one of the best things on our menu. It's really, really good if you haven't tried it. All right.
Very true, my that's one dish my grandson ordered.
Yeah, I love our duck. I like duck, though. It's one of my favorite things. All right, guys, so plate up. That's just a whole bunch of goodness. I just want to show you guys the color of the, y'all saw this chicken stock before I put it in. Can you see the color of it now? When I told you guys, it talks about the gris-gris at the bottom of the pan, was no longer at the bottom of the pan, it's in the sauce, okay? And that's how we formed our flavor and our color and our richness of our sauce. So it's okay if you get some, if it starts to stick at the bottom. Don't be worried too much about that, because that's how you're building your flavor. All right. So a nice bowl full of superfood. We just need a little bit of acai berry on top, and we'd be good to go, right? All right. It doesn't hurt to put a little finish, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. That's some good fat. I made a mess today, right? Just enough to complement, guys. I think we built the sauce at the bottom of the bowl. The teriyaki is there just to give it a little zoom, little zest, a little finish. There you go, guys. Crispy salmon. Awesome. Are y'all ready to try it? Yes. All right, cool. I'll be right back. How was it? Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for coming. I had a good time. Hopefully you guys did. Remember, at Gabe's Downtown, fat equals flavor, right?